I'm like, oh, don't let it fall. Hey, we're live. I'm always talking when this happens. Candace, I'm with Candace, guys, and she's the one that takes. She can charm cacti and cornfields. So I'm going to roll the intro, and then we're going to get back and talk about Miss Larson over there. I always get that wrong. Boom! Let's do this. Did you see the little pictures I put up there?
I did.
So, welcome to Counter with Katy, everybody. It's pretty exciting. So, this is interesting. Candace is a realtor, and I'm a realtor. And Candace, how long ago is that we did a transaction together? Was it 3 years? 4 years?
Yeah, 20.
Was it 21 or 20?
End of 21 or the beginning of 20?
I think it was in the spring, so it must have been the end of 21.
It was April of 22.
So the beginning, the end. I'm looking at April as the end. Do you know why? Because I used to teach, so I think of everything in school years. Like August is the beginning of the year and May is the end of the year. Yeah, and so we became friends, which is really cool. And Candace, you have such a cool story because let me just pull this up right here. This is her, realtor and resort owner, which makes her an entrepreneur extraordinaire in my book. You guys tell me what you think, because this is what she can do. Charm both cacti and cornfields. So it's very interesting because you grew up in Arizona, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're going to talk about your accomplishments first, okay? With real estate, because you've been a realtor for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So she got her license, and her last class was on 9/11. That's actually when 9/11 happened. Do you remember that day? Were you in class?
I do. That was actually my anniversary.
Whoa.
My husband and I got married September 11th, 93, and that was our anniversary. And we were thinking about not going and just staying home, but I don't know, something just told us we needed to go, and I'm glad we went. It was a great class. I don't really remember much about the class, but I remember just being surrounded with people. And of course, during breaks and even during class, we're all talking about it. And so it was good emotionally for us to kind of get away from the TV set, like all Americans were glued to all day.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we cried a lot. Even our instructor cried. It was a very monumental time for all of us.
It was my first year of teaching, and I had gone for a walk, and I came back, and I had seen that one building was hit, and I thought, the pilot must have had a heart attack or something. Saw the second one, and then of course I'm young, my first year, and I had to go to school and try and deal with all of that with the students. I had fifth graders at the time. Crazy. So how long did it take you to get your license? Was it, did you take full day classes back then?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm sorry. No, we went to night school.
Yeah. So that's what I did too.
Yeah, it was 4 days a week. And I think it was from 4 to 9 or something like that.
Yeah, I did it. I think 2016 I got it, but I didn't start till 2017 or something. And it was 4-hour classes. It was when I was teaching. So in 2002, already you were awarded Rookie of the Year with over $3 million in sales. And the reason why I put this in parentheses, because I didn't want to forget to ask you this. Do you remember what the cost of houses were back then? Because $3 million in sales is huge. This would be $10 million today, I believe.
They were really cheap.
Yeah, because I remember my first year, like I said, 2016 or 17, I thought 185 was a lot. So this is way back in 2002.
Yeah, it was cheap. And no, I don't remember what the average was. That was a long time ago, Katy.
You know, right? I can't even remember yesterday. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Well, that's quite an accomplishment. I'm going to equate that to doing over 10 million in sales now. So for those people that don't know that doesn't mean it's 3 million in commissions. It means that she sold a number of houses that have equaled up to 3 million. So back then, let's just say the average was 98,000. That's a lot of houses because some of them are going to be less and some are going to be more. So in today's day, if the average house is 450,000, I only have to sell basically 2 to get to $1 million. So she would have to sell at least 10 to get to $1 million around, or maybe more back then. So you must have felt pretty. I picked the right profession. You must have thought back then, right?
Yeah, considering I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So it was my husband's idea. No, it was my husband's idea.
Really? And look at you now.
Yeah.
Look at you now. Okay. Well, 2004 Agent of the Year with HomeGain, which is a networking company. So you say you were invited to speak with thousands of agents for their national phone conference with over 2,000 on live calls. So give us a little bit, and of course we're going to keep it short, but give us a little bit idea what that means. Sorry, didn't mean to do that.
So HomeGain back then was kind of like the Zillow today, but it was just for agents. So it wasn't a public platform. And it was kind of similar to Armless MLS, but HomeGain was like where you went to get out of state leads.
Was that the book? It was a book, and then you would have to leaf through it, and you would show it to your clients.
No, that was the original Armless book that we had to get printed because keep in mind the internet wasn't quite out yet. So yes, and that book only got printed, I think it was every 3 months, I think it was. And so, and then we had another book, which was your map, which agents still today are putting in, are you in K2, M1, whatever.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's pretty much how you found out where Armless, was said that your property was located. Yeah. But so if you're in I just remember I was in M2 a lot. And that
okay, great. So imagine it like a tic-tac-toe board.
Yeah, pretty much. So, and now keep in mind, because it didn't get printed, but every couple of months,
right?
That you didn't know that the listing was expired until you drove out to the house, or you were able to actually get a hold of an agent or the owner.
So interesting. Maybe I'll interview you some more. I'm going to also start interviewing my brokers and owners of the company and stuff, because I'd like people to know more about how real estate actually is done. Because I mean, I can't even imagine. And this is before the crash, of course. But there you are again in 2005, or Agent of the Year. Woo! Over 7 million in sales, just quite a jump.
Yeah,
that's badass.
But keep in mind, that was really easy to do because 2005 was when, that was when kind of the boom had started and our inventory was extremely low. So it was super easy to sell homes. I mean, if you could get a listing, it was sold.
I'm going to agree with you that it was easy to sell home because it's much like the pandemic, right? Like people are paying exorbitant fees and whatnot, but you still have to have the negotiation skills, the knowledge, support your clients and all that stuff. And you are very, very, very good at that. Oh, I see a comment coming in. Woo. Oh, Daryl, connect here with me for marketing. Oh, awesome. Hi, Daryl. Okay. So let me find the next one here. Okay. 2007, you became a broker price option agent with a company called Sam. So it also, you were quickly promoted to their top agent because your values were consistently within the top 5% of the official appraisal, which is now 3. So that's, even though I'm a realtor, that's kind of Swahili to me. So kind of explain that a little bit.
So broker price opinion is basically an unofficial appraisal. And so in order to
get, a comp?
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. So yeah, it's your market analysis, but when you do it for the bank, there's very specific guidelines that you have to follow. And those guidelines pretty much are parallel with today's appraisal.
Which is really cool because it's big biz. I mean, you really have to know your stuff. So that's fantastic. Okay, I'm going to go. You have so many damn accomplishments. 2011, you became a licensed real estate instructor and have a few ADRE approved classes. So do you still teach?
Well, no, because I don't live in Arizona anymore.
Oh, you have to live in Arizona to teach the classes?
Well, I mean, no, but I don't have time. So
you don't? Well, we're going to find out about that in a minute. Don't worry. Because I know you don't have time. Okay, so in 2012, she was invited to join Keller Williams, Baltimore or Biltmore?
Biltmore.
Boop,
Did I spell it
please.
wrong?
Yeah, and I copied and pasted, so it's my fault too. So
Oh,
we're both
sorry.
very cool. Keller Williams Biltmore partners, and within 2 months, asked to become a team leader. Why did you decline?
Yeah.
Why did you decline that? I'm gonna fix
Well, because KW is very culture. Everything about KW is around their culture and around their policies and their guidelines. And I didn't really know them yet. So how could I basically be, because a team leader for KW is basically the office manager. So you're managing the office, you're managing all the agents, and your primary focus is new hires. And so I didn't know enough about the culture and about, pretty much the standards of KW to be in that position yet. And Scott Kibbert, who was the designated broker of the Biltmore Partners, which I believe he still is, he owns it. Now I see what he saw back then, and if I would have took the position, I could have been mentored, and who knows, I might have stayed there for a while.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So I, honestly though, I have to believe, particularly because I've done some really strange things in my life and decisions, and I have a little show I think I'm going to do about that, because who's to say that the decision that you made back when you made it was the wrong one, right? So that's a better way for me anyway to look at things, right? And so
Yeah,
we wouldn't have connected. And listen, being friends
probably.
with me, you should feel fantastically lucky. So I just showboated you on here. So I'm going to now not do this. I'm going to show a couple of things here. I'm going to pull this up and we're going to talk about a few things. So this is an interview with you. I'm going to put a different background on here just so that it's not so distracting. Okay, there we go. Okay. So, so this is, okay, so I looked this up because this is who I am, right? So,
oh my goodness, you went way back.
Well, I did just because I wanted to. So what Candace did was as we, let me remove this for a second. As we were in our transaction, the reason why she was moving, it was her family home. You grew up there, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it was the house my dad built.
So at least 26 years. So she was moving. And so it was a big deal. And my client was the sweetest person in the whole world. And part of the reason why the transaction happened is because of our relationship. And that happens a lot with you and with me, I know. And because he was so fantastic. And it was such a great transaction for all of us. And we hit some snafus. Oh, Pam, amazingly strong women. Woo! That's my friend in Canada. You'll love her. So Candace left, and I was, so where are you going? What are you going to do? And she said, oh, I'm going to go run a resort in Nebraska. I'm like, what? So she's like, yeah. And then of course, we stayed in contact and stuff. And I see one thing I love about social media is being able to stay connected with people and see what's going on. I forgot to bring the TikTok up. Okay. So here it says, your little town where you live, like many Nebraska communities, Long Pine, that's where you live, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. It's tied to the railroad development. So when the Fremont, Elkhorn, and Missouri Valley line arrived in 1881, it became a railroad town. So tell us a little bit about, oh wait, where are you there? Where'd you go? Tell us a little bit about the town, if you would.
Well, I wouldn't call it a town. I would call it a strip.
Okay.
So
like the Vegas Strip, but everybody lives on the Strip, nowhere else?
No. So we have just a few businesses that are on Main Street, and then it's basically homes and then the city office. So the census, I was resident number 300.
Okay.
But it's between 100 and 125 people, not
today?
Households, people, yes. And so Brian and I are two of that 125. Let's say we'll go on the high end, that live there all year round.
You're in the books. So tell me, Candace, what was it like when you first got there, coming from the big city? Because I know I lived in Nebraska my junior year playing volleyball and went back to New Mexico. But what was it like coming from a city, fifth largest city in the nation, over 5 million people, to 125? How did the people respond to you?
Everybody was great. And it was really weird because everybody knew who we were, but I had no
Oh yeah,
idea who they were.
you'd be the talk of the
And
town.
oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so that was that I needed some time with that. So, because living in Arizona my whole life, I'm used to just going and doing my things and then coming home and nobody knows where I went or what I did.
right.
And that's not how it is in a small town. So,
Right. So I have what do I want to do here? Hang on. Whoa, there we go. Okay. So this is your new design. I'm going to show an old website, but this is your new design, and that's the one that's on the bottom right of the screen there too.
yeah, I
Um,
designed that logo, by the way. I'm really proud of that.
yeah, I remember you posting on Facebook and asking for, suggestions or what you like the best. And how did you come up with
Yeah.
that idea? Because I love the reverse R and everything. And what is that V thing?
Well,
Pine Valley?
that's a classic cattle brand. And so because our county that we live in is cattle country.
Okay.
And, so I wanted a logo that represented, basically the culture that we're going to be surrounded by. And the majority of the return clientele are also ranchers
Okay.
or in the farming industry of some sort.
This is so cool. Okay, we're not to 10 questions yet. We're coming up to that. Okay, we're almost there. One of the coolest things, I'm going to share this with you too. So I grew up in a smaller town called Roswell. I was born in North Dakota at a very small town, 7,000 people, but not 125.
Well, that's the 125 is who lives there all year round. So it's kind of like a pine top, where the majority of residents come during
So
the
it's like a
summer.
reverse snowbird situation where they come from the warm areas.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Because okay,
yeah.
so I love that. That's very cool. Pam says looks appealing. So see, that's great. I think it's a great design.
Well, and our area has the longest stretch of pine trees that are left in Nebraska. So it really feels like pine top to me.
Yeah, well, and I love that too because it feels like home also, and
Hmm.
that Nebraska is
Hmm.
not known for their pine trees.
No.
So I'm sure that's really appealing to people around
Yeah,
here too. You know.
yeah.
So
Well,
what
and
I
the
did,
creek helps.
yeah, having a creek.
Uh-huh.
Does that freeze
Yeah.
over in the winter? Or does it dry out?
No, because it's spring fed, so the water's running constantly through it.
Oh, that's like some places in Prescott. That's really cool.
Hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna share a blog that this lady is still doing today. Okay, can we see this? Is this good? So I'm only showing this because I was trying to find some old photos and things of
Yeah.
Pine Lodge, and I'm going to go to your Facebook thing and show that too. But so this is a lady named Sarah Lynn who's still doing this today. By the way, she's adorable, and she did this in 2015, April 4th,
Yeah.
2015. So
That is cabin 3.
okay, so you know that right away. So just to give
Yeah.
you guys an idea of what it looked like back then and the kinds of things. And I don't know why she says the person who decorated this particular cabin was partial to zebras and giraffes. Do you still have those?
They're in the bull barn.
So I just think this is adorable. This lady's like posts and stuff. And she's just showing all the pictures, and she says this giraffe had a place of honor atop the refrigerator. The view out the windows mostly consisted of forest. And look, so there's the famous, infamous zebra. One other cabin could be seen from the window.
Yeah.
There's a big truck there. So that's cabin 3 right there we're looking at?
That is
Okay.
cabin 3.
So, but you guys get the idea then, and then I'll show, I think Candace has some newer ones, and then Candace, if you wouldn't mind later, here's a picnic pavilion. Is that essentially the same?
Yeah. Well, no.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. And then the playground, and I don't know why she said, oh, Larry's 89 Chevy 1-ton. He owned about 20
Well, and here's the awesome thing. Larry, he still comes. Him and his friend Elmer. They are best friends, and
that is amazing.
They come every year, and they.
I think everybody should get on board with Sarah here, because this is a very old way of blogging and vlogging. She has current posts, and she blogs it, and so I think that she's might be missing out on an opportunity to make some money or something with
Yeah,
with
for sure.
social media. So
Yeah.
I'm going to share this for a second here, and then you can talk about it. And then I'm going to get on to the questions because it's really, how did you get, so this is the thing. This is basically explaining how you got to Nebraska to own. So, wait, this is an award you got?
Which one's that?
What was this
I
one?
don't know.
Broker price option expert Candace Larson.
No, that was just a fluff piece that some magazine
Okay,
did.
so sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll stop that. So how did you end up in Nebraska?
Well, during COVID, my daughter's best friend had moved back to Nebraska after they had graduated. And then during COVID, when my daughter works for Discover Card, and then when they went remote, so she happened to be in a meeting with the CEO at Discover, and she just made an off-the-cuff comment of, I wish I could work remote from Nebraska. And he was like, well, why not? Because my daughter's pretty high up. And she was like, what? Next thing you knew, 30 days later, she was under contract and moving to Nebraska.
Wow.
So, yeah. So then I started going out there and, spending time with her. And I just realized that I started feeing a lot better being up there. So one thing led
That's
to
awesome.
another.
So it's kind of like an Airbnb, right? So you're running the cabins and they're renting cabins at.
No, it is not like an
Give me a little
Airbnb
bit
at
of
all.
scoop on that.
So we're an actual resort. So we have an actual hotel license. We're under, state standards. So Airbnb is completely separate and under different rules.
Okay.
So we have 7 individual standing cabins, and then we have the main house.
Okay.
And so we have the main house, and then we have an office.
Okay.
And so when people come in, they get their own separate cabin. Every cabin has their own septic system, full kitchen, bathrooms, all that stuff, and everything is included. And that was something that we had changed when we first got there, because the first probably year and a half, new people that were making reservations with us were asking, do we need to bring our sheets and our own towels? And that was so crazy to me. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that happens a lot. I stayed in a place in the Ozarks and went fishing once, and it was we had to bring our own sheets and stuff. Now, is that at your place there?
Yeah, so that is our volleyball area, which is down by the creek.
Okay.
And so what you're seeing there is we have a group that comes in October, and it's their friends giving. And so what we did is we used them as a test group for something that we would like to offer to, locals. And basically what we did is we did like Olympics, and then we just made it like Halloween themed, because they came in it was like October 18th, I think.
Yeah.
And it was a blast. We have a lot of kinks to work out to start offering it to locals, but it's definitely something that we're going to start doing, because there's not a lot of things to do in our area, especially, once September hits, a lot of businesses close for the season.
Right. So including yours, right? So that's why you're allowed. You're here in Arizona right now, not with me right now, but in Arizona.
Right. Yeah.
And so, and so do you have an official Facebook page or not yet?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
we do.
I'm trying to find that.
Yeah, it's Pine Valley Resort.
Well, one that came up was in Oklahoma. You know me.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull it up right now because I found it, because that's how cool I am. So they don't have a website at the moment.
No.
But they will have, they do have this, and you do know me. So if you need to get a hold of Candace and you don't know her.
That's not ours.
Oh, God
that's
dang
the
it.
previous
owner. It's not on your, okay.
And
well,
I have been asking.
See what it says? Owner at Pine Valley.
Yeah.
That's what I click on. That's not the one.
I don't know why no.
Okay.
I have fixed that 4 different times, and I'm so tired of Facebook. But
well, listen, if things are perfect, it's boring. So we'll get that fixed. And actually, if you'll send it to me, and I can add it to the description in this podcast, and I can also do that in the description on YouTube and LinkedIn, just for that, because she's got some really. So Pam, This might be the wrong one too. Is that the
No,
right
that's
one?
it. PVR Resort. That looks like it.
Leave it to the Canadian to find the right one. Okay, so
Thank you, Pamela.
anyway, I'm not going to show it right now. It's going to be a surprise because we're already at 25 minutes and I want to ask you some questions.
Okay.
Are you ready for
Go
these?
for it.
Okay, so I did a new thing. So you ready? Boom.
Yeah.
It's time for 10 questions. How do you like that?
That was crazy.
I'm like a little kid. I'm like, ooh, what do you think? What do you think? 10 questions. Okay. What is the nicest thing someone has ever done for you? Now, listen, if you don't know the one, just describe a time that somebody did something nice for you that you felt really good.
Gosh. I think it's, when you say what's the nicest thing, I'm trying to think of like the best thing.
The best or most thoughtful or, whatever your definition of that is.
Well, one of my clients who became one of my friends, she recently, I got it just before I left for the holidays. She sent me a couple of ornaments, and I just thought that is just so sweet.
That is very sweet
because they were not cheap.
No,
so
they're
they
not.
were, Swarovski ornaments.
Yeah.
And I just thought, and she sent me a pair of fuzzy socks. And
that's
I just
awesome.
thought that was incredibly thoughtful.
Yeah, I love that. Pam says, or Jennifer Taylor, she is another Highland gamer. I competed in Scotland with her. She said, Pam's here to take care of everyone. That is true. It's kind of like Highland Games' mom in a lot of ways. Okay, what's the worst holiday in your opinion?
I don't know. I don't think there is a bad holiday.
I know. Well, I'd have to probably look at the obscure ones, and think of that. But Columbus Day. We shouldn't really even have Columbus Day anymore. He didn't really discover America.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I know. Like that just popped in my head. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Just trying to think of like obscure questions. Okay, what is something dangerous? What's a dangerous thing you did as a kid? What is something dangerous you did as a kid? I don't know why thing was in there. Sorry, my bad.
I plead the fifth because I know my parents are going to watch this. So I plead the fifth.
Okay. All right. It's probably the same stuff I did. If you were paid to eat an entire barrel of any type of food, what would you choose?
And Mexican food. I don't care what it is, as long as it's spicy.
Oh, excellent. So yeah, it's very hard to find in Nebraska, isn't it?
Oh, I'm sorry, Nebraskans, but I love y'all, but Mexican food is not your forte.
Well, then coming from New Mexico and then here too, like New Mexico, flat enchiladas, stacked enchiladas with an egg on top. And we have some places out here that will do that.
Listen,
I ordered one. What?
Campbell's tomato soup, condensed soup is not red enchilada base.
It's funny because like in the bigger cities, you have people that it should be better. But yeah, I had ordered an egg on top of my enchiladas and they were like, I don't even think we have eggs. And I was like,
yeah.
Didn't even think about it. I was young then.
It's not good.
If flowers could talk, what do you think they would sound like?
Oh. I think it would just be like a vibe, I can't picture a flower forming words. I think a flower is an aura.
Yeah.
It's just,
That's a great answer. I was picturing like whispers or something. So same type of thing. Do you know your love language? If so, what is it?
I do. It's words of affirmation.
You're amazing.
But here's what's crazy. Here's something I don't understand is that my love language is words of affirmation, but how I show love is through sacrifice or gift giving.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Make sense to me.
It does. It makes sense to me because sometimes it makes sense and it doesn't make sense because sometimes I think our love language is something that we are searching for ourselves, but I also think it's something that we just innately do. It's just like who we are, So it's something like I need to give, so let's say I need to give gifts to someone. Doesn't mean I need to get them back, right?
Right.
I need words of affirmation. Doesn't mean somebody else needs them, kind of thing. So, so that's cool, though. Actually, Who was your childhood crush? This could be a celebrity or a classmate.
Okay, Brian, if you see this, I only remember his name.
Oh, do you remember his last name?
I do.
Dun, dun, dun.
His name was Michael Ball.
Michael Ball.
Yeah.
Okay. What grade was
Yeah.
that?
That was, well, like 2nd through 6th.
Nice. I remember I'll have to talk about that a different time. I remember my crushes when I was really little in North Dakota and other ones. What is your favorite word?
Can't say it here.
You can.
Nope, because again, my dad's going to be watching.
What does it start with? Is it F?
Capital. Yeah.
Okay. That's my favorite word too. Fantastic.
Right?
What do you do when you can't sleep at night?
I watch TV or I scroll endlessly on social media.
I listen to podcasts and I look at YouTube stuff on my little iPad. How many pillows do you sleep with?
According to my husband, too many, but I've had a lot of surgeries and I have a lot of fake stuff. So I need a minimum of 4 or I can't get comfortable.
Okay, well that's perfect. I sleep with about 4. So, but I typically only use 1. So
I use them all.
I'm at the point now where it comes to the final thoughts, and I just have to say, Candace, turn the landline back on.
It might take me a minute to figure out.
we were chatting before we came live, and Candace was like, I was like, maybe remember to put your thing on do not disturb. And she's like, I don't know how to do that with a landline. And I was like, maybe just turn the volume down. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't even think I've seen a landline in 20 years.
Here's the crazy thing is that he has had the same number since he first got it issued.
Yeah.
And that was in 1972.
I remember that I used to know everybody's phone numbers. I mean, like, probably 50 or more, right? Like through high school and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like 6240412, that was my number when I was a kid. And so I remember my best friend 6231283, and I don't remember anybody else's. Not one. And like I used to know all of them, you know? So
I was so proud of myself because I went to Fry's the other day and I needed to put in the VIP number. And so I'd always use my grandma's. Well, apparently they disconnected that because it didn't work. And I was like, what was my old fax number that I used to use? And I remembered it.
You did. I can't even remember my addresses, Candace.
I remember my fax number from 2002.
I don't even remember clients. I mean, I don't remember anything anymore. One thing I do want to say in final thoughts is, as a realtor, and then Candace and I have talked about this. Like, so there are many people out there who don't like to share the spotlight or share their techniques or whatever. And you and I have talked about this before. Like, everybody's going to have a different take on it. I'll share anything with you because you're going to say it in a different way anyway. It's not always going to be the same. And you have always been such a kind and courteous and just such an exemplary leader and person for everybody out there, regardless whether they work with you on your team or on the other side of a transaction like me. So I really loved being able to showcase you tonight. And maybe we'll talk some more later about your resort as things progress. And thanks for coming on tonight.
Thanks, Katie. That was really nice.
It's been fantastic. And, you know, Sit Squatch always says, the journey begins with you. So be good to yourself. Okay. And then I always say, I asked Candace, she didn't have one, but this is me, the Horgan. I love you. Peace and love. So Candace, stay on for a second, okay?
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.